All right, everybody, welcome back to Twinhammer. We have an amazing star guest today. We have Shane from Command Point. We got to have some like bam, 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 bam.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be here. Happy to finally get on the channel.
So great to have you on. We've been big fans of Command Point ever since we were getting into Kill Team. So this is an amazing event to have you on.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago at this point, we had just played Nova, and then we were driving back from Nova. So like 2 years ago in a month, and we were listening to you guys on Command Point break down like what was then Kill Team 2.0, and now we're here 2 years later. It's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, I listened to all your deep dives on all the teams. It was just absorbing all of your wisdom coming in, and that really helped us when we were starting. So thank you for that. Yeah,
I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. Honestly, we've been on a little bit of a break, but we'll be with Worlds and everything. There's going to be a lot to talk about. Plus, we got Christmas around the corner, so we got the 12 days of Kill Team. So we'll figure it out.
That's true. Dead Silence, just on Warhammer Community. Just it went up for preview next week, so that's going to be a nice thing to talk about after Worlds as well. Yeah,
definitely,
100%. And Shane is now pretty much an honorary Canadian. He didn't fully come to Team Canada, but been coming to so many events in Canada. It's been so amazing to have our Great Lakes Kill Team connection here. So if there is anyone watching this that is in the like Ontario, Upper New York area, even Quebec, we're doing this amazing Great Lakes Kill Team where we have this great Discord, lots of different tournaments, and I think we've had like 5 or 6 that you've driven up from Rochester in Ontario, right?
Oh yeah, I mean 6 this year alone, and then probably like 4 or 5 more on top of that over the past couple of years. So I've been up a lot. It's close. It's not quite my local scene, but it's a short drive. The only hassle really is going over the border, but the drive itself is not that long of a trip.
If only we had that ferry, from Rochester to Toronto would be amazing.
Yeah. And I know Thomas came down to you too, so you host in Millennium Games there in Rochester, and we've been coming to you, so that's been amazing. And for everybody, we are doing our journey to the KT Kill Team World Championship for 2025. We're all going to be staying in a house together, which is going to be pretty awesome. We did last year. That was a fantastic experience. And it's always great. We brought so many kill teams down last year. We didn't really. You and I had one practice, like a couple turns of a game, and that's about how much we used our whole entire setup that we brought. But
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Looking forward to it.
And so for the viewers, we are going to be breaking down the current rosters for Kill Team. So the 130 players that are coming to the World Championships this year, and it's grown significantly in the past 2 years, and it's now becoming a full world game. So it's actually a pleasure to break down. We're going to break down the countries. We're going to break down the factions. We're going to break down the groups. So this is part of we're just 3 days out from being in Atlanta, and this Thursday we have our first game at like 10 a.m. So we're getting close, and now we've got all the stuff revealed, and all of our friend here, George Armour, has broken down on a great spreadsheet. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to go through everything here. But I think before we jump into it, we were just chatting before jumping onto the recording that Shane, you were at the 2023 World Championships when it was only 38 players.
Yeah, I mean, the groups were a lot smaller back then, and we did not have 8 groups with like 15 players each, which is crazy to think about. I think back then we had about 4 groups with like 8 to 10 players each, and it was still 2 get out of groups. But yeah, and it was I think it went top 8 with like a losers bracket, maybe, possibly. Maybe it didn't have a losers bracket. Maybe that was something else. But yeah, I mean, it was, and then last year we had less than 100, like 93, I believe it was. And then this year we're looking at, what did you say, 130, 138?
I think it's 130 on the dot, according to the spreadsheet breakdown here. But something in the realm of the one. So That's going to be one of the biggest kill team events of the year. I think we were saying that Las Vegas Open with squad games there, they beat it just by a bit in the January Vegas tournament, which is always huge. But this is going to be massive, and it's all the best qualified players in the world. So for the viewers who don't know, you need to get a ticket. So I got a ticket right here. And you need to win one of your local tournaments, and hopefully they have a ticket.
Bro,
It's
flip
going
it
to look
upside down.
reverse. It's going to look reverse either way, or maybe now
there
they
you
can
go.
see
There
it.
you go.
It's still going to have the mirror effect, but it's really cool. It's kind of something that I really like about Games Workshop. I was saying in my other preview video that, like, what company develops the game and then develops these kind of like golden tickets that they send out from corporate head office and host like yearly world championships. I think it's pretty cool. I can't think of any other game like Magic or anything like that is so centralized in participating in their own competitive, like the zenith of their competitive scene, right? So I think it's pretty cool. And I think it's got this like Willy Wonka-esque vibe of like, I've got the ticket, but this time you earn it. You don't have to like eat any chocolate bars.
No.
And none of that shit. Through like real amazing determination. And we were lucky in the Ontario scene this year to have like access to probably 7 golden tickets in our scene. You had already qualified vis-a-vis your placing last year, right? Because you got to the semis last year, or last 16 auto qualified you, and then you also went all the way to the semifinals.
Yeah, and I finished 3rd. I'm not really sure how it ended up shaking up last year, but I know the top 16, either top 16 from the cut or top 16 period, some way that they did it, got tickets for this year, basically.
Yeah. I think even our boy Voyan got a ticket. I don't think he had to re-qualify. So I think he did just well enough to sneak into that at 16 there, and you and George got one. And then, we were lucky this year. Instead of just having 1 or 2 in the Ontario scene, we went up to like 7 or 8. So certainly more Canadians this year. And then we'll look at more honorary Canadians jumping in as well. So we almost got you as honorary Canadian, but
one of these
you're
years.
You're still like our brother anyways, regardless of country allegiance. But all right, so we are going to get into the breakdown here. That's a nice little preamble. So we are going to get right into this amazing spreadsheet, and we'll kind of zoom it in for everybody watching at home here. But this is the 130 player pool, and we have the ITC ranks. We have our group views that we're going to be going through. So groups 1 through 8, what everyone is bringing. And then we'll do a kind of analysis group by group, who we think are going to have a great time. We just did a really fun tier list breaking down what we think which faction is going to have the best chance to win. And I think everyone can agree that Canoptic, I think, is very high powered right now. But we wanted to celebrate the fact that you brought Rekkas, which is so cool. And it's such a boss choice, honestly. I remember you and I in the house, and I was like, what do you think of the Rattlings Rekkas? You're like, I love Rekkas. And I hope they're going to be good. So the fact that a year later you're bringing them, I think, is a really cool story.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely a lot cooler than Canoptic, which is the other team I was thinking about taking. They're just, they're a lot of fun. It's kind of like, feels like playing elites to me, even though they're kind of like a semi-elite. I think that's how we have them labeled here. But to me, it feels like playing elites. And I do kind of miss that. That's what I used to play.
Yeah, you were an elite enjoyer. Legionaries were your main for a while, right?
Yeah, way back in 2nd edition when it wasn't so good. And, playing elites again feels good. I enjoy it.
And what did you bring to 2023?
I brought Legionary. That was...
oh, you did bring Legionary.
Yeah, nice. And I did not make it out of groups. I was 3rd in my group, and it came down to the 3rd tiebreaker, which was VP, and I had like 1 less than the guy. It was a heartbreaker.
That's a heartbreaker. But then
was that the year that Alexa won on Chaos Cults?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, last year, coming 3rd out of 98 people or something, that was hugely impressive. And I think I was really hoping for you and George to go the whole way. And unfortunately, you had to face George in a battle of the Great Lakes Kill Team in the quarterfinals. And you almost made it all the way to the finals, which is something that is incredible because it is such a slog of a competition. It's not an easy competition. 10 games back to back intensity, like I was completely wiped by day 2 of the groups. I was like depleted beyond like my energy was gone. So
yeah, it's tough once you get into like the once you get into that top cut. I mean, it's tough at Worlds from game 1 to the very end, but you get to the top cut and it's like every player is just insane. Like you could, like if you're not coming from like maybe if you qualified from a smaller meta and you haven't traveled a lot, like you could hit top cut and it's like every player is the best player you've ever played, like one after the other, and it just keeps getting harder and harder. It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
And this year compared to last year, I believe we're on 3-hour rounds compared to 4-hour rounds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's going to be all the way, I think, 3-hour rounds this year. I think last year we did have 4-hour rounds on the first day, and then we went to 3-hour. And I think this year, I think it is just 3.
And from your experience, both of you being there last year, how would you find now that we're talking about Worlds in comparison to other tournaments? All other tournaments are pretty much 2 hours. Worlds is pretty much the only one that I know of that's more than that. So do you think that there's actually, talking about like stamina and endurance, is the 3-hour rounds feel heavier than the 2-hour rounds?
I think for me, the emotion weighs heavier on you. Like you're more invested in outcomes than you are in other tournaments. In other tournaments, you're like, if, even if it's a golden ticket tournament, you're like, oh, I have multiple. I can just, if it's not this one, it's another one or whatever. And this one, you're wearing your country's emblem, and you kind of, you feel like you're in a brotherhood and stuff, and you don't want to make mistakes that will cost you something that you can be like, last year I started really well with 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. And I was facing Mateusz from Poland right before, like that was my last group match. And if I beat Mateusz, I would have actually had a chance to get out of the group, like a really good chance. Then I lost there, and I lost a few more after that. And you can, just like Shane said, because you're playing players that are like even when you go out of the groups and you're not in the top cut, you're still playing like amazing players every game. So the endurance of being sharp the whole time, you really got to be emotionally neutral and just say, like whatever happens. And you just treat it as like meeting an amazing person from around the world who loves Warhammer as much as you, right? So I think that was my experience last year. I don't know about you, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the games do weigh a bit heavier. But it's a kind of a combination of factors between, the general level of the opponent is obviously very high, but then also the 3-hour rounds mean both you and your opponent are just kind of taking that extra step to think through everything you do. And I'm not typically a player that gets super I would say fatigued, and so I do pretty well as far as the endurance tests of a big tournament. And I do think there's also this other factor of, if you do start doing well in a tournament like this, I find that like you kind of get this little like jolt of like self-belief almost. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just won a game at Worlds. Like I'm totally ready for the next game. And so there's that part of it. There's the camaraderie of your teammates and your country mates. And it's a really good time. And I think that, the groups it's crazy because you're spending just as much time, like you finish your game and then the first thing you want to do is find out how all the people you're traveling with did. And like you're checking BCP, and it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun. I really love it.
I think the thrill of it, and if you do win, like you said, you do get this feeling of like, wow, I'm at Worlds, I got to win. This is great. And even if you don't, like that guy who brought Navy Breachers last time, right? He had no hope in hell to win one game, but he won best in faction, and he had a great time.
It's funny you say that because we're talking about this. We have I have the 2023 Worlds pulled up on the ITC just to see the rankings. Now, do we have any breachers this year? Do we have a single breacher player?
No.
See, that's too bad, because both 2023 and 2024, the last place in Worlds was breachers.
My gosh.
And 23, it was Jimmy Kelly. He was finished last with breachers. And then last year we had Alejandro. What was it? Who was the guy?
Alejandro last year, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. He was just making the biggest statement ever to Games Workshop and say like, why did you like nerf these guys again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be the first year where breachers are not dead last place at Worlds. So something's gonna have to take the throne, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess we could go into some faction breakdowns now, and we did this quick one with Vivek, and these are the ones that are definitely not at Worlds. So this is interesting. We don't have Deathcore, we don't have Pathfinders. Two teams who were in Kill Team 2.0 in 2023, I think, would have been doing very well at Worlds. Same with Gellerpox, Angels of Death were obviously the most popular team before Deathwatch came out. We got our Navy Breachers who are not there. Kazarkin, who just couldn't get it together in this Kill Team 3.0 yet. Pyrotech, which, were very big last year, and you took them and did so well with them. But they really they went from denying kill op to just have as much kill op as you want, which is really weird on GW's behalf. But Hearthkin Salvagers, we were saying Dylan Gill played him last year, and they had the operative that could really guarantee going up an objective and alpha striking on turn 2. That got nerfed, so he didn't bring them this year as well, and then handed the Archon.
I am surprised. I'm surprised to see no Hearthkin. I don't think they're like a top team, but I mean they did just get some buffs, and I think that in a kind of elite heavy meta, I would have thought somebody would have liked them enough to take them.
I was also quite surprised that they weren't there, because just looking at them, I thought they were quite strong, especially as a counterpunch to Deathwatch, which is the most popular team. I think they're a pretty good counterpunch team to elites.
Yeah, I think so. I totally agree.
And this was the little tier list we made quick, but I thought everyone was seeing this, but they weren't. So these are the teams in the bottom here that aren't coming. So out of 40 odd kill teams, we just don't have representation from 9. Yeah. So it's a pretty good spread, all things considered. But the fact that let me just share this again here. The fact that you're still have so many, and we'll get into the faction breakdown right now here. Let me just see here. But this is the faction breakdown. And so we still do have such a, and this is something where you can maybe assume that Games Workshop wants to boost sales by making each box a little bit higher powered every time it comes, but I don't know, you don't want to say it, but they are doing really well. The 2 new teams are the most taken. I think Deathwatch is the coolest kill team. It's got it's so good for new players, and it's got a high skill ceiling for very skilled players. And I think a team of super Space Marines just is such a cool concept. And then Canoptech are actually surprisingly a little bit, they're not as mind blasting to play in the sense of Battleclade, where it was very hard to kind of arrange. It's a little bit more smoother of a team to pilot than a Battleclade, let's say, right? So they are 2 teams that can be played quite well. So we have now approximately 30% of the field is just 2 teams alone, which is crazy. And then if you remove these, then you would have a pretty decent spread with Nemclaw, Raveners, Void Dancers, Felgor, Rekkas being the 5 factions over 5. And then if you include Blades of Cain and Mandrakes and Tempestus Aquilons, also you have about, what is that? 2, 5, 8 factions that 5 or more people brought. So pretty good spread. And then you've got obviously the ones here, and then 2 with Battleclade, which was surprising, but
yeah.
There's some, what are your early thoughts on seeing this breakdown here, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, the Canoptic stuff and the Deathwatch stuff isn't so surprising. They're just, they came out the gates really, really strong. And I mean, Deathwatch is so popular that if they're even remotely viable, they're going to get a lot of play. And they are quite good. So, I mean, I'm a little surprised to see 7 Nemesis Claw, 6 Void Dancers, 7 Raveners. I would have thought that those 3 teams in particular, we might have seen a bump down because of the nerfs. And I know for a fact that some people did jump off of these teams that otherwise wanted to play them. There was definitely some Ravener players that were playing them a lot that are now on Canoptic. Same for, kind of how Sanctifiers, a lot of people jumped off of them. Although I don't think we ended up with.
Well, if you scroll down,
there's one.
There's
right?
one. Yeah.
Wow.
In the 1 bracket.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then still 1 Warp Coven, that's surprising.
For just the sake of taking.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's interesting. It's definitely It's once again kind of like last year. It's a lot of elites, and Void Dancers are up there. And then, just kind of under that, it's sort of just a mix of different things.
I think
expected
last
more
year,
hordes, though.
yeah, last year there was a mix of 3 teams, if I'm not mistaken. It was majority Warp Coven or maybe Legionary between the two, and then it was Inquisition, correct? As far as I
And
can remember.
Legionaries, yeah, Warp Coven,
Yeah,
Legionary,
yeah, Legionary,
and
Warp
then
Coven,
Higher
and
Attack,
Inquisition.
probably.
Yeah. And those were quite a bit of the meta too between those 3 teams. I think it was like close to 30% too.
Yeah.
As well.
And then I think Void Dancers would have been 5th taken last year as well. They came out a lot more than I would have expected them, and they actually did quite well. Wasn't there a Void Dancer in the final as well last year? Or
in the top 16, I believe Bart.
Yes, Bart. Who did Dan face in the final with Warp Coven last year? Do you remember?
Javier Escu's Legionary, who is the guy that beat me in the semifinals.
Okay. Yeah, so that must have been like the quarters or semis that I was watching Dan play against Bart there, which I wasn't expecting a Void Dancer to do so well, but yeah, Legionaries and Warp Coven were just so crazy last year.
Yeah.
Just so crazy. They've both been hit with the nerf bat so much that Legionaries didn't even come this year, or maybe they have one. They have one.
Yeah, I think they have 2, actually.
Yeah, they have 2, yeah.
Oh, wow.
2 Legionaries.
So 2 Legionaries, 1 Warp Coven. And
so surprising.
And no higher, and 1 Inquisition. Yeah, 1 Inquisitorial Agent. So the 3 big teams from last year are now next to not taken, and then Higher Attack, unfortunately, not even there.
Replaced by Canoptic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And
I think maybe we can say like our biggest surprise for each of us from this, and I would say my biggest pleasant surprise is seeing like the box of last year's box set that launched the edition was very underpowered for a long time, and I'm very happy to see now, after a huge series of buffs rather, that Aquilons and Stingwings there's 8 players bringing between the 2 of them. So because I would have loved to see those teams play it a little bit more, they were struggling for like the whole year, and now I'm happy that people are taking them to Worlds. So that would be my probably biggest surprise. Yeah. Thomas, what's
my biggest surprise coming in? I mean, there's some teams that now with the TAC op, the new the approved ops, they spiked in viability that is in a very interesting way, and I think that's maybe like Farstalker and Ratlings due to their like synergy with Plant of Ice and retrieval potentially with Farstalkers. So it's good to see them in there. I think it's maybe not they've definitely got an interesting angle now that they can take. And I know, Shane, you've been trying to make Farstalker work for quite a while, so it's nice to see them at least have an angle in this current approved ops as well coming in.
Do you think they still struggle to like kill like Deathwatch and Canoptic, like really remove pieces from the board, even with all their crit op potential, Shane?
I think I think they're in probably a better position than they have been before, but they still might struggle a bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that they are. I actually considered taking them. Honestly, I went with Rekkas, but I think they're quite a good team. I just think that the biggest problem they've had for a little bit, because Data Slates for a while focused a lot on nerfing elites, and those gradual nerfs I thought were kind of helpful for Farstalker. But then it kind of seemed like as that was happening, we were getting these like ludicrous damage reduction teams, like Sanctifiers and Canoptic, and the Navy Breacher nerfs even, or buffs even. Like you had these teams in the meta that were just like ridiculously hard to kill, and then you have these 21 wound Raveners, and then you get Deathwatch and Canoptic, and it's like, all right, well, because Farstalkers, they play the mission very well. I think they're one of the a lot of the teams, I would say. I don't think this is a hot take, but with new approved ops, most teams, I think, got worse at scoring TAC ops. That's probably the case for like 80% of teams, maybe more. I think Crude is actually one of the few teams that's actually still very good at scoring TAC ops. They can, I think, reliably get 5 or 6 most games, even if they lose. And then on some of the crit ops, too, I think they're quite good. So this meta, I don't think, is so bad for them. I think Deathwatch is really hard. Canoptic is pretty hard. But a lot of the other stuff, I think, is pretty doable. And, if you can just I think there's a game plan that works for Kroot, I guess I would say.
And I think the lack of Goremongers, because like when I played Goremongers into Aquilons, it seemed like a pretty like pre-nerfed Goremongers. They were like a nightmare for Farstalkers, but now since they've been kind of tapped down, I think that can actually, and it's so interesting. I mean, like to balance a 40 team, now we're gonna have the classified, which is gonna probably do some better clarity for balance purposes. But we're having like 4 new teams join almost immediately within the next 4 months as well. So the number is gonna get back up there pretty quick, but it's gonna be nice to clear out some of the older teams. But it seems like every new team comes with a lot of different new tech, like tunnels, nodes, like can't die. Like it's pretty interesting. So let's see what happens with the new teams coming up. What was your big surprise, Shane? Like your biggest surprise where you're like, I never expected this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expected a lot more hordes. I mean, if you look on here, the biggest horde, I mean, if you consider them a horde, it would be Aquilons because they have 11. But if you don't consider them a horde, then I think you got to go down to like Wormblade, Ratlings, maybe.
Yeah.
And I thought that we would see a lot more Inquisition, a lot more Blooded. I wasn't sure if we were going to see Ratlings so soon after the buffs because they struck me as a team that people weren't looking at. And then the buffs made them look kind of good. My worry was, this team's probably too hard to learn in such a short period of time. But we got 4 Ratlings still, 3 Kroot. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I want to see how these teams do into Canoptek. And I will say I know we have 5 of them, but I expected more Aquilons. I think they're very powerful right now.
Yeah, because they got the additional operative. And did they get buffed? Like that was their major buff. Did they get anything else in the last couple data slates?
No, the World's data slate, they got nothing, but I think a lot of the things they didn't like got nerfed.
Yes.
Like I think they have good play into Deathwatch. I think they have okay play into Canoptek personally. I think they're fine into Raveners. Actually, Raveners is kind of a tough one, but Raveners caught a nerf. They hated Sanctifiers, who caught a big nerf. They hated Higher Attack, who caught a big nerf. And a lot of these other teams that are left, I think they don't like playing against Aquilon.
Yeah, I think Raveners, I think people jumping off Raveners, certainly from my perspective, it was a really good thing. I was worried that there would be a lot of Raveners simply because their mechanic right now, I feel, is a little bit extremely hard for certain teams to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have like a very quick mechanism to deal a lot of damage in 1 or 2 shots. If your team relies on more attritional damage, like Raveners is an extremely hard matchup. So I was happy to see the back of people going off of them. But if they switch to Canoptek, it's not much better.
Yeah. I mean, Canoptek is unfortunately, it's one thing for them to be like one of the strongest teams, but they're not a very exciting team, I think, to play against or to watch really as like a spectator perspective. So I'm not thrilled about that team right now, but you know, what can you do?
It may be that their play style is like somewhat fixed because it's so fixed around their defensive kind of wall of nodes that it may make them a little less dynamic than you would have liked to see, right?
Yeah, the nerf hurt their aggressive play too with the
Geomancer, right?
The Geomancer. That was one of the few ways I think they could really push the subjects a little bit more in games and try to force something to happen. But right now it feels like, unfortunately, the right choice, I think, for Canoptek most of the time is to kind of sit around and not interact very much with the opponent.
Yeah, certainly some of the top players in the Ontario scene in the last Chimera, like that was, you create the fortress, and then in Tomb World you do have like the operatives that could be juiced up with 2-3 APLs and fly through the walls, which is a pretty crazy mechanic as well. But it's certainly hard to reach out and deny flank, deny plant banner, those kind of things, because you got to stick to really kind of one zone. You can't really stretch too far with that team because you don't want to leave your Geomancer, right?
And one more thing that I wanted to say is a good surprise is Rekka Crew, because they finally got like changed to their core mechanic that made them viable. Because I remember playing a game against a Rekka Crew guy, super nice guy, and I threw one stun grenade and it like won me the game so easily because 2 of his melee operatives just could charge me. and that was all they could do. So having the ability to at least get that thing where you can't just completely be taken out by stun is really good. So I just wanted to transition that into like, what were your main reasons, Shane, that now propelled you to take Rekka Crew as your main team?
Yeah, but like I said, I was playing Canoptic for a while, and that was my plan, was to play them. And then I think after the nerf to the Geomancer, I was playing them, and it wasn't really like they're weak now. That wasn't the problem. It was all of a sudden it felt very kind of dull, and the idea of, if you're going to take something to a tournament and you're going to play it for 4 days for 10 games, you should enjoy it. So I said, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to play Canoptic. What else is there? I had no games on Deathwatch, so that was out of the question. And I'm looking through the teams that are like that I've enjoyed lately, that I think might be okay. I considered Kroot a little bit. I did consider Aquilons. I didn't have a ton of reps on Aquilons, but I played them a little bit. And then, sitting right there was Rekka Crew, who I've loved for a long time. And like you said, they finally have a buff that feels like it makes them more functional as like a serious, viable team. I don't think that there's a element to it of like, I think Rekka Crew's like a secret top tier. Like there's not like there isn't, I don't think there's much of a secret sauce here that I'm rolling with. I think that they're kind of generically powerful. I think they can hit really hard into these tanky top tier teams. And to me, it just feels like they're a little bit, they're scrappy, they can be underestimated, I think, too. There's that element of it, and they're very reliable.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's one of their main strengths. I would feel like, if like you can just kind of guarantee the damage going through when you need it,
yep.
Which I think is one of the main appeals of them, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that they are. I see people say like, well, I lose games with Rekka Crew because I don't roll sixes or something. And I think that's not really something that actually happens too often. I think that they are one of the more reliable teams. And again, if you're going to play a game you're going to play 10 games, you want to reduce the odds of variants kind of crushing you. And I didn't hate their matchups very much either. I think the team I'm most scared of with Rekka Crew is actually Tempestus Aquilons. And so I was, crossing my fingers, holding my breath that I wouldn't run into Aquilons, and I don't have any in my group. So off to, the first step has, we're past that. That's and yeah, great. They're great.
Perfect.
I'm actually like, the Rekka Crew seems so fun to me. Like, it's such a fun mechanic. It's not like Commandos that were like silent boys. Like, this is all orc, wah. Yeah. Like, you're going out and you're having a great time every game. You're tanky enough. You've got all this explosive. It's everything that Kill Team is while we're saying Canoptic is like very defensive and not a good watch. Like, I will watch a game with Rekka Crew all day long. Like, I'm going to be there watching your games when I'm calling it right now. You're going to get into the top again. And
I hope so.
I'll be there watching and having a fun time watching you and cheering you on there. But I wanted to also bring up, before we change faction as well, for 2023, did you notice the same pattern for 24 and 25? Because it seems like they are redoing like the full edition. Obviously, Worlds is in November. Last year, they redid the full edition, all the teams and the crit ops and tac ops a month and a half before. So it was like a mad dash. This year, they've obviously done like approved ops and crit ops like again a month and a bit before, with like a data slate not even like 2 weeks away from Worlds. So it's really keeping everybody on their toes to like make quick decisions. Like you're saying, like you got to suddenly ask yourself, like, is this team I've been piloting all year now? Like, I've painted them up, I have a display board. Now I got to kind of like maybe jump ship, or maybe like think about, like, I played Void Dancers. I have to play them a little bit differently now that they're a little bit less tanky. They can't sit on points. They were never good at sitting on points, but now you can definitely say, like, if you sit on a point, you're gone. So did you see that in 2023? Like, was there a lot of changes, or it just so happens the timing in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a real trend, but I think 2023, if there is a trend, 2023 is kind of the exception to that. It felt like, so obviously Worlds was in kind of late November in 2023. And from like July, August, June, I would say the summer until then, we had seen like very dominant Commandos. They were like everywhere. They were the top team, and we just kept waiting for them to get nerfed and waiting for them to get nerfed. and they would get like tiny nerfs, and then Worlds was around the corner, and we're like, oh, well, surely where there's going to be something that hits them. And then nope, we went into Worlds, and Commandos were still up there at the top, and they didn't end up winning. So who knows?
But it was also the Cult Summer, right? Wasn't it like Chaos Cult Summer?
Yes, it was kind of, the trajectory was interesting because Chaos Cults at the start of the summer were like unbeatable, and then they hit a nerf, and after that nerf, it wasn't like, I think a lot of people were like, oh yeah, they're like A tier now. And nobody thought they were bad really, but I think that they were just not a very popular team. So a lot of people stopped playing them. And then at Worlds, there was, a few top players running them like Alexa. And then, there was kind of that reminder, well, all right, Chaos Cult is actually still pretty insane. We just kind of don't like them, so we don't play them very much.
Also a very hard team to collect and build because you need like 20 models just to like field the team, not even roster wise.
My first game, shout out to Tomash, my first ever kill team game in a tournament was against Chaos Cults on Into the Dark, and I was Phobos, and that was my first experience of just being run over by Chaos Cults.
Well, funny thing was, it took 2 years for me to actually face Chaos Cults because I had to force my way into a matchup at the Top Shelf tournament and then grab a game with Dave. So you saw them right away. I had to wait like 2 years. They're just that enigmatic a team. I've got 2 Chaos Cults in my group, which is very interesting. So I'm glad I got a couple games into them to even see what they did.
Yeah, they're quite good right now. They're actually kind of a sleeper team, in my opinion. I mean,
I like where they are. I was reviewing their rules and played against them a couple times. Like, in the hands of a good player, they make them work well, which I think is a really nice sweet spot for teams. Like, they're not powered to the point where like you can just brain dead do them, but like, if in the hands of a good player carefully doing things right, then they're cool. So I'm happy that they're there, and I'm happy at their power level. I'm always excited to face teams where I think it's more like in the hands of skill level. And then I look at it like a nice challenge. So it's interesting that they're represented with 3. So speaking of groups, did we want to kind of steer into the grouping?
Let's get into the groups. I just wanted to point out, maybe we could just point out the countries before we grab into it. All right, so we are now going to cover the countries, which is super cool. 130 players. Here are the different countries that are represented. We have a guy from Andorra, which is the small country in between France and Spain, which is not surprising given that we've got a lot of Spanish players and a lot of French players here. We've got 3 from Argentina, 4 from Australia, which is no worries. We've got 4 from Australia, which they have a pretty big scene, but it's, I think, the hardest out of most countries to come all the way to the US. It's very expensive. So shout out to all 4 of these players. No Alexa this year? Am I not seeing Alexa?
Liam and Alexa did not come this year. I think that they kind of just went to WTC, and I think a lot of their travel expenses were for that.
Oh, yeah. Even Taz, there was another guy, Taz, who was at Worlds last year. Also, he went to WTC too. So that's a crazy expensive trip for them too. Surprisingly, Thomas was saying that Canada is the second, one of the, like, I think tied for second for the number of players now that we've got the Kellys, Milton, Weatherhead, and so we've got the full Kelly family represented under Team Canada, who are American.
I think Josh isn't. I think the other 2 are.
Yeah, maybe Josh.
Yeah, there's 2 of the Kellys that are in Canada, and the other one in the family is repping the States. Yeah,
divided nationalities down the line. Jimmy Kelly said he was going to wear Canada boxers last year, so maybe he will this year, and it's been good to have him there. And Milton, obviously from the Great Lakes Kill Team from Vermont. It's honorary Canadian as well. We don't know who Teslin Little Chief is. We don't know who Azaria de Leon is either. So these are 2 Canadians that we don't know in the scene just yet. We haven't really had any communication with them. But Canada, good representation this year for sure. And then surprisingly, 4 from Chile, just as many as are coming from Australia, 3 from China, which is incredible. We heard on just another Kill Team podcast, they had interviewed someone in China, but this is crazy to see 3 people representing China. We've got 4 from Colombia, which is also really cool to see. We've got England, which has, I think, the same, like 12 players in England, but we've also got 7 players from the UK.
15 from England, yeah.
15 from England and then 7 from the UK. I'm not sure why Wales and Scotland aren't included in this. So maybe these guys
Northern
are
Ireland,
maybe these are Northern Irish, Scottish, or
and Welsh.
Welsh, but it's yet to be seen. So that could be more English. So England could be up to 20, let's say. Let's say over 20 from the UK as it is. We got 4 from France. Dylan Gill representing India, but he's also American. We've got 2 Italians and somebody representing Japan with an Italian name, which is very interesting, or a Spanish-Italian name there. We got 5 Mexicans, and I know the Mexican scene is getting really big now.
Oh yeah, our brother Julio down there, he's doing some great work, man.
Yeah. Shout out to
he was
Julio,
part of our scene in Canada, and now he's really trying to grow it down there. So
shout out to Julio.
Yes, we love you, brother. 1 from Peru, 1 from Philippines, John Reese, who's also English, so we can tech that out as another English player too. We've got 3 from Poland. We've got a surprisingly low number from Spain. I always think they would come with more because they have like the second highest player base or third highest player base, but they've got 8, only 8 from Spain, 2 from Sweden, and then aforementioned UK. And then I think you said how many players from US, Thomas? You calculated 40?
I believe it was 44.
44.
But if you included like the states players that are representing Canada, it would be more like 48. Yeah, 44 that are officially representing the states, I believe.
And wow, it looks like almost every American player is either playing elite or semi-elite.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
That's true. Wow. Wow. We've got only a couple on hordes there. We got a 1 Wormblade, 1, a few in mid-range. But yeah, that's the majority is elite and semi-elite there. So really cool. Just such a great breakdown. I think that's like over like 16 to 20 countries that are being represented. And that's how far Games Workshop and Warhammer is reaching across the world. And now Kill Team is being picked up even more. So it's amazing. Now let's go into groups. We'll shed as much light on the groups as we can. We'll spend like 20 minutes maybe going through here. Shane, you know a lot of these players as well. We'll comment on some of the players that we know. I think the big 2 here, both on Mandrake, surprisingly, is Ace, who's quite well known in the scene, and then obviously Adrian Bonvento, who did really well with Commandos in 2023 and 2024. But yeah, what do you think of them 2 on Mandrakes? Those are 2 good players.
I'm very surprised to see 2 Mandrakes. I think that there's a niche for them in the meta in terms of, I think they play okay into like Canoptic, maybe. I think they have some options. I don't necessarily know if I rate them into the wider meta, but these are 2 very good players, Adrian and Ace. So I'm excited to see how they do. There's there's a few other names on here that I think we can talk about.
Yes.
I don't recognize Joe Mullen or Michael Bork or Edward Hummel. George Pratt is
New York
Stream, right? Yes.
New York based. I played him in Nova last year. He was on Wormblade. He's a great guy. I think he's English origin as well, if I'm thinking right, or no?
No, I believe he's
maybe I'm thinking another George.
You're thinking of another George. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, George Pratt is the Vox Scream podcast.
Okay.
But he is in New York now. And then Matt Wildung is Florida.
Our boy.
That's our boy. We were on the team. We were on a team with him in Nova.
Oh,
he
really?
was part of our team. Yeah. We got paired up with him because our buddy that we were going to be on a team with couldn't make it last minute. He had to pull out. And we got luckily paired up with Matt, who was just an absolute blast to have on our teams.
Yeah.
Wonderful man. Like, honestly, was so incredible. He was like a brother right away. And he was playing Star Striders at Nova last year.
Yes.
He won his ticket with Void Dancers, but is now, we got to message him. Shout out to you, Matt. We love you, man.
Now he's working with Ben, I believe. Ben from Battle Brothers, Ben?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Brood Brothers, another team I kind of expected to see more of. And I think he might be the only one.
Yeah. I think there's a couple Brood Brothers, yeah.
David Hong, I'm not familiar, but he is playing Wrecca Cruise. So love that. Milton, we mentioned, is from Vermont. He has a YouTube channel, Adeptus Adequate, and he's kind of a Blades of Cain maestro up there.
I listened to that channel, and I won my golden ticket with Blades of Cain, and he helped infuse me with all his knowledge. So big shout out to Milton and Adeptus Adequate, his channel, for helping me even be in this competition.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few channels on YouTube that is like dedicated to like a specific kill team with like very focused content. If you guys, if anybody out there is interested in Blades of Cain, you should go listen to Adeptus Adequate.
Yes. Shout out to you, Milton. And he does really good in-depth analysis on the faction rules and then like how to play Blades of Cain into Deathwatch, how to play Blades of Cain into like different factions as well. So really amazing stuff there.
And hey, not for nothing, you know, I think this is one of the better groups I think Milton could have landed in.
Yes.
I mean, the fiercest competition, the player-wise, like the top players in his group are both playing Mandrakes, who I personally think that Blades of Cain have a good matchup there.
Yes.
And I mean, Milton's a very good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes at least one of those games. I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, he's very good.
He's quite good. Vaughn
and
is
no
another
Canoptic.
What's that?
No Canoptic in this group. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's astounding. Crazy. Wow.
I mean, if you're a Blades of Cain player, how stoked are you to see that you somehow got the one group without Canoptic?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and Mandrakes, they're probably picking that team because they're like, we're the one team that can reduce the Canoptic save from 3 to like to 4 or 5. And then they're like, there's no Canoptic in our group. And they're like, they're probably like Adrian and Ace are probably like, wait.
Yeah.
We took a team really to counter Canoptic and they're not even in the group.
Yeah.
So
and then below we got Vaughn Unblooded. Vaughn is, to my understanding, I believe he's another Florida guy. I think there's like 4 Florida players in Worlds this year. I think 2 of them are in this group, that's unfortunate for them. But I don't know. I think anybody else in this group though. But we have a Vespid, we have another Blades of Cain. I see an Aquilons, quite a few Deathwatch, but definitely one of the more interesting like non-meta groups. I mean, is there only 2 Deathwatch?
Yeah, 2 Deathwatch, 2 Raveners, I believe. Yeah.
Let me see if I can get
it. You can sort by faction, Raveners. Alexander. You could sort by faction if you click on E there.
But you don't get Raveners with Mandrakes too. Oh my goodness. That's the one team where their save gets better against your shooting.
Yeah.
They go to basically a 4-up. Yeah.
Group 2 is very interesting as well. How many Canoptic do we have in this group? 1.
Just 1.
Oh, this is my group. This is my group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this group is there's only 1 Canoptic and only 1 Raveners, which were the 2 matchups I was most worried about. And this is almost like a melee horde group, which is just super interesting to me. Like, if there's going to be any like semi-horde, melee horde versus just Deathwatch, that's what I would classify this group as. Because we've got like Commandos, Sanctifiers, 2 Chaos Cults, and then we've got a Legionaries, 4 Deathwatch. We've got Goremongers, maybe I mentioned. And then we've got an Aquilons and a Corsair and a Wormblade. So kind of really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very interesting faction spread here. Just the 1 Canoptic. Chaos Cult Nick Collins is a very good player.
And this is an interesting thing because in this group is Nestor Bailey, who was my very first ever competitive opponent at Nova. And we played Corsairs versus Hand of the Archon. And it was burned into my memory because my very first game, and he just wiped out my 3 best operatives with a torrent. It's so cool that 2 years later we're in the same group after him being my very first opponent. So that's kind of cool.
And Jimmy Kelly, obviously, with Wormblade, that's a very interesting pick there. I think Wormblade was interesting for me as well. I just painted it up. Haven't even had a chance to play 1 game with them, but they are a cool team. They're pretty fun. They're like, for me, I think a funner version of Brood Brothers. Brood Brothers for me, when I played them, was very much back in the old edition, was like the mechanics were a little bit like too predictable and uniform. I feel like Wormblade, you have a little bit more like offense, a little less defense. So this is a little more my style. But what do you think of this Wormblade choice by Jimmy?
I think it's interesting. I mean, we did see Dan Barton just win the London GT with Wormblade. So I mean, clearly this team has some juice.
Yes.
We kind of said earlier, like I expected more Horde, so Wormblade definitely falls into that. I haven't even really given the team a lot of thought in terms of how they play with the new approved ops. I would imagine quite well, though, because they're a team that has, I believe it's Seek and Infiltration. And and I could be wrong. It might, you know what? I want to confirm that because I know they have infiltration. But
I believe they still do have Seek and Infiltration, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Because
like...
there's only 2 teams that have Security and Infiltration, and I think that's Blue Brothers and Ratlings, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it is Infiltration Seek. Okay, so we're right about that.
They're probably going to be more so in the Infiltration camp by the
Yes.
looks of it.
I mean,
But
Infiltration
it's a good archetype.
Yeah, they got a glow up. Steel intelligence is pretty great. The track enemy is pretty interesting, and a lot of people really like the flight device. I think the team definitely has some.
I feel like
Yeah,
there's a lot of operatives too, so you can spread the board pretty well, and then you have enough to punch up with your 2 amazing operatives on the team. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they do. And then Group 3, what do we think about Group 3 here? We've got our boy Vivek here on Canoptic.
Dave
and
as
how
well.
many Canoptic? Yeah, Leander Garrett too, who's a great player. We've got 3 Canoptic here.
Oh, we've got our boy Dave in there too. On
Dave.
Chaos Cult.
Yeah.
He's been so sharp with Chaos Cult, so he's been really putting the work in. So I have really good vibes for him.
Yeah, I mean that group I think is going to be kind of like that's I think that's kind of a tough group, honestly. With I have no idea who's going to get out of this group. I mean, Netra is a known very good player from Spain. Leander, obviously, fantastic player. Vivek, we all know, like Dave Seafried, has just been really strong on Chaos Cult recently. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it out of groups, to be honest.
We called that already, yeah. We called him and Vivek have a really good chance there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if I'm doing predictions, I think Dave definitely gets out of groups. I'd love to see both the Canadians get out of groups, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough competition.
Yeah, and of course we're making predictions based on our knowledge, but we're not taking away from anyone we don't know. I'm sure everyone's well deserved to be there.
Yeah.
It's always a very tough call to call any of this. We're just going based on what information we are kind of guessing at, basically. Yeah.
And there might be something weird with the ITC ranks if people are looking at this as well, because we got like
those are not accurate.
Number 3, these are not accurate. So
you could hide the ICT rank if you.
I'll
probably do that. Just seeing how Dave's on number 3, and last time I checked,
if you right click on the
apparently Dave and the guy right below him are third in ITC.
Yeah, so we'll keep it ITC clear, just so people at home aren't like really thinking too much into that. But Group 4, here we are. This is my group. This is going to be a spicy group. We've got France, we've got Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Spain, and
you could probably zoom in a bit more, bro. If you want.
Yes, now I can, because we got a nicer spread here.
We've got scroll down a little. Yeah,
we've got. Let me see here. It's just. There you go. Let's get it nice and centered. Honestly, as a Void Dancer player, I'm not loving the matchups that much into this. Obviously, it's me and Joe in here. We're going to do our best. Shout out to Joe. He's manning Star Striders. I think he's going to have a harder time than I am, because I think just the way the teams play is harder to stretch with Star Striders. And I think Void Dancers, I have a good game plan with flank, and I've got some steel intelligence play. I've got some retrieval play as well, but we're going to try our best in the group. We do have 4 Canoptech in this group. We've got Remy, who is a really great painter. I met him last year. He's on Aquilons. He's a great player. I'm not too familiar with any of the other players here, honestly, but
I can recognize a few names.
Yeah. I know JP was in the finals of Nova.
Okay.
With he's a pretty strong Blades of Cain player. Landon is another. He was he's one of the top players in Florida at this point. Very strong player. He's playing Felgors.
That's a tough matchup for me.
Yeah, I believe Paul Wiener is a New York City guy. I'm not 100% sure on that. Sammy Mira won, I might be mispronouncing his last name. He won LVO. Not the last LVO, but the January one from this year. So that's a scary one. I think that's everybody that I know, but some big names in here. This is definitely going to be an interesting group. So what are you most worried about, like faction-wise, I guess matchup-wise, Alex?
I think matchup wise, Knoptek, I can score flank against him, but to battle on the midpoint, I think with the banishment and really scoring any kill up against them, I really got to be careful not to lose anything against Canoptic because Void Dancer, I just can't punch into them. As Shane, I rolled 4 lethal 5-up crits on a 4/6 power sword and still did not kill one of the tomb crawlers on the point. I did 20 damage and he was up on 21 because he had the reduction because he can't just scratch it either. So when I saw that and they can do a little bit more asymmetric, especially if I play them on Tomb World. On open, I'm feeling a little bit better, but I think as Void Dancer troop, I was hoping for a little more Death Watch. I have 2 Death Watch. Brood Brothers against teams that because I don't have a lot of like counteract play, and I have to play very aggressively against Brood Brothers, and really I have to play very aggro against Hordes because they can just clap back. And then Blades of Cain is always like a dice. It's like a very razor thin edge. I just played Andrew Blades of Cain, and if you start trading up and you get that early trade, like if my Melta goes off and he can't contempt it, I go up.
Yeah.
But if you don't roll hot on your Melta and he can contempt it, right? It's like those kind of little things in that Blades of Cain matchup can really swing the difference there. Nemclaw is a tough one, but I would probably play a little more conservative because Thomas was saying that these teams with infiltration and seek and destroy, they're very like aggro based. They're very like they need to come to you to do stuff, right? So
they have to interact with the object. I mean, outside of like scout, what's the name of this specific tack up and infiltration?
Track enemy.
Track enemy. Outside of that, everything is going to be like kill count or trying to get something on your objective. So you can bet that they're going to be trying to come more aggressive at you for sure.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for more of the Death Watcher, Far Stalker matchups, but none of these matchups from my standpoint, I'm like licking my lips. Maybe the Far Stalkers I got a little bit of play in, but really the Void Dancers I'm not like there's not matchups where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a guarantee. So
at least you don't have only 1 Raveners at least.
Yeah, 1 Raveners and 1 Felgor, which I'm pretty happy with, but
yeah.
we'll do the Canoptic.
At least everyone is on the board to be killed.
Yeah. Speaking of Group 5, Felgor Raveners, we got Max. So just training with Max yesterday. Shout out to you, Max. He's pretty lethal with his Felgor, and
we got David. Yeah, we got David Feig from Canada as well. The Nemclaw expert. Yeah.
He's been really good as of late too. A really newer player, but so lethal as of late. So Max is fantastic. I think he has a good chance. I think he even was able to do some work into Canoptic. They just with Frenzy you can stick around and score quite nicely on the flank as well because you don't need to be alive to score on flank, which is great. So Matt Opperman, great guy. He was on Plagues last year. Super nice guy. We went around and signed each other's badges and stuff. So cool. It's actually so fun.
Yeah, Matt's
to just meet all these guys. Yeah.
Brett Bouchard, I recognize the name.
Brett Bouchard is awesome. He's Six-Sided Legion. He has a YouTube channel. Him and
that's right.
Blaine Severson, who unfortunately I don't think qualified.
Yes. Blaine, I believe I met at New York. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Scout Squad is a pretty cool choice there for Brett. Brett and Blaine are always playing cool teams, so I'm not.
They are, yeah. I think, they are always kind of cooling, like
Pierce
off meta.
At the bottom on Phobos, Pierce is a guy I met him at Adepticon. Another really nice guy. I'm excited that he got his ticket, I believe, right at New York Open, like at the last minute.
Oh wow,
nice.
And Phobos is an interesting choice. I don't think they have matchups that they are looking forward to here. Oh, Novi's is a crazy choice too.
Yeah.
I think their staying power compared to last Worlds has been really. I think Jonathan Stoley actually was on Novitiates last year.
I think so.
If I remember, I think I want to say Jonathan was a player I tied on Novitiates. We played into a tie. Yeah, I hit him with a blast. My Warp Coven sorcerer hit him with a huge blast, and he healed 3 operatives. That's how tanky I didn't kill anything. He just healed everybody. That's how tanky the faith points were back then. So I think they've been
Yeah, guys, let me just turn my light on. It's getting so dark in here, and I look like I'm.
Oh, true.
I look like I'm blinding like a
blinding light. Speaking of novitiates,
yeah.
Toss. I think we got like 10 minutes here.
Okay.
That's better.
I think we
Shane
got a hard stop around like 5:40 for us, so about 15 more minutes, I think.
Can I just ask you like very quick takes on Felgor and novitiates at the current point? Because I know you know them so well.
Yeah, so I do have a lot of thoughts on Felgors especially. They were a team that I think I was kind of considering early on, and because I won Adepticon with Felgor, and I really liked that team, and I kind of have for a while. And after Adepticon, they received some nerfs to Ambush and to something else. So the wound counts on some of the guys.
Was it the Seek Light?
And then the Seek Light, Seek became Seek Light on the Shaman. So I personally, I was messing around with them recently, and I just found that the reliability wasn't there as much for me. Like I was playing a lot of games with them, and I felt like every game I was having a few moments where I felt like the dice were failing me a little bit, and not because I was getting unlucky, but because it just felt that like the team didn't have the consistency that it used to have before the ambush change. So I steered away from them for that reason. They are still quite good, and I think that I think after the world data slate change, I think that tipped a little, some scales further in favor of Felgor more so than before. They're definitely a scary team for sure, and I think they're one of the teams that actually has some play into Canoptic. And the Novitiates, I can't speak so much for Novitiates. I do think they're kind of underrated, but they're not a team I see a lot, and they're not a team I think about a lot these days. But I've always thought that they were kind of even when they've been kind of considered bad or lower tier, I don't know. I think they're solid. They're just very reliable, very tanky for what they are. They don't hit super hard, but they can hit consistently. So
sweet. Now we're getting to Group 6. So we've got some big names here. We got Dan Barton, who won last year on Canoptech.
Orion Wilfong, who I believe he won maybe the year before 2022, maybe I think.
Yeah, but back before it was like a big event. It was like an 8-player like invitational.
Orion
Wilfong won that.
Yeah.
This group is crazy, by the way.
It's crazy.
I think this is the craziest group. I mean, you've got actually the first and second place from Worlds last year in the same group again. We have Javier Escu and Dan Barton.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you've got our top Canadian player, George Armour. Bro, our brother.
Then Orion and
built the Canadian scene a lot. So
and then we got our boy Aiden in there. First time going to Worlds, I believe.
Hey, and you know what? At the Command Point Open, Aiden defeated Orion. So there's a little grudge match there.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is funny because I gave him the nickname Aiden Hotchkiss of Death in the last video. And I don't know if it's George that put this in or his actual BCP for Worlds is Hotchkiss of Death. So that's pretty funny that it made it in here.
Yeah. Jonathan Reynolds is a guy that is kind of like a Midwest player who has played Wormblade for years. Big Gene Stealer cult guy, and he's a very good player, and he's one of like the better players in the U.S. that has not been to Worlds before this year, in my opinion. Nice guy. I'm excited to see how he does. I mean, this group is just crazy stuff.
Bonkers. Oh, and Joey Cruz, from New York. Yeah, we know him from New York. He's really good, really nice guy too. And I mean, both Void Dancer players here, like they're Void Dancer like enthusiasts. They're Void Dancer troops. Both of them are just like stunning. Like they could.
Both Joey and Aiden and Joey don't play any other team except for Void Dancers.
Yeah,
so
they're like
sweet.
literally ride or die Void Dancers. It's great to see them both here representing the Void Dancers. And there's another Void Dancer as well from China.
Wow, 3 Void Dancers, one group. I think that's actually really good for George if he can run into a few of those Void Dancers with Blades of Cain. George been manning them for like almost this whole year, so I think he has a good chance. Not 3 Canoptech, and then Raveners. I think Liam Garrett obviously is one of the Garrett brothers, really good as well. He's a great player. So this is just such a crazy group.
Yeah, Liam did quite well in Nova with his Raveners. So
yeah, this is going to be I think this is the group of death.
And
this
I think
is the one.
Matt Wilhelm there at the bottom, I believe he made it out of groups last year, didn't he?
I think, was it Matt Operman or Matt Wilhelm?
I think they both did.
I think they both did, because I know Matt Opperman, like I played him first. He was on Plagues.
Mm-hmm.
I beat him in his our first match, But then when I kept talking to him, he just didn't lose like any other games.
Yeah.
He just kept on winning and winning. So yeah. And then Wilhelm, I recognize the name. I
I believe I faced Matt Wilhelm in New York. Nice guy. Yeah.
I'm almost certain he made it out of groups last year.
Yeah. So like crazy group. Group 7.
Yep. Oh, this is a very interesting group as well. I mean, all the groups are interesting, but we've got our boy Jason, who always goes by Jaspoon for some reason. I've not quite realized what reason he does.
I don't know why either.
Yeah,
I think he just likes the sound of it and it's funny.
But Rattlings, he's been manning Rattlings for quite a bit, so it's going to be cool to see him do well there. And we've got John Reese, obviously. Can you roll a crit? Representing the Philippines this time, and Canoptech, obviously. Alberto Java's a good player from Spain.
Spanish players, and he's playing Jaegers. And he's actually been known for Jaegers for a while. I'm surprised that he's taking them here.
Wow. I believe it's Hava, right?
I believe it is Hava.
Oh, yeah. Hava. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jaeger's very cool. So, I mean, if he gets out of groups with Jaegers, more power to him.
Both me and you are Jaeger. Are Jaeger enjoyers for sure. I think I considered them. They were the first team I played in the new approved ops because I was like, maybe they have some juice. And so I'm looking forward to playing them afterwards. They're just a fun team because they have that explosive J2.
It's such a cool team.
They're fun. And their buffs seem to make them nicer too to play, which is good.
Yeah.
I think Eric Croyer, I played him last year when he had 2 Phobos left on 1 wound and 3 wounds respectively. And I had 2 sorcerers and a couple Zangor left. And then he won last turn initiative and somehow pulled it out. I think that was my loss that I felt like the most, like the soul had been completely sucked out of me. Because I had it like just 1 and 3 wounds left. All I needed to do was win initiative, and then it all unraveled for me. But Eric is such a good player that he managed to turn it around. So I think Canoptic is big there. Then
have we mentioned Ben? Have we mentioned Ben
Campbell?
Because Ben from Battle Brothers, Ben has an amazing channel, and Shane, you know him well. Now he's piloting the same team. He's like an elite enjoyer, like you. Always loved the Legionaries, right? So.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this earlier. Ben is part of the reason I'm playing Rekka Crew. When I was having my little crisis about how I hated playing Canoptic, I talked to Ben and I told him, I'm like, man, I don't think I can play this team. And Ben was like, what if we just play Rekkas, both of us? And I was like, you know what? That sounds awesome.
I can imagine just you talking to Ben. Like, I feel like Ben could convince anyone to play any team. Like, he's so enthusiastic and so full of like exuberance that you're just like, oh, sure, bro, you convinced me, I'll go.
Yeah. We've also got in this group Dylan McNamara, the other guy from Rochester, coming with me to Worlds.
Dylan, yes.
Yes.
He Shane, were you on a team? Were you on a team with Ben at Nova?
No, Ben and I, we did doubles together at Adepticon and took first place.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of. Yes. Yeah.
Because
I remember you and Ben did well. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
You're just saying about Dylan there. Sorry, Shane.
Yeah, Dylan, he's one of the newer players out of Rochester. And, I'm really, proud that he was able to get the ticket. He's the only other guy coming with me from Rochester. We're actually flying out on the same flight, I found out, which is really exciting. And he's playing Deathwatch. He was a big Nemesis Claw guy. And I think he didn't love the nerfs. And he's been really interested in Deathwatch since they came out. So he's been getting pretty good with them. Him and I have had some pretty competitive games. He's taken a few W's against me with his Deathwatch. So I'm hoping he can do really well at Worlds here. We've been getting we did a little boot camp yesterday at Rochester with some of our locals helping us out. And yeah, I'm excited to see Dylan hopefully do well here.
That's amazing. Great to see the Rochester crew repping it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got 2 Rattlings in that group, by the way.
And 2 Vespids.
2 Rattlings.
And 2 Vespids. That's really interesting.
I told
Rattling versus Vespid.
I was telling Dylan, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's, if you can get Tomb World against Vespids, you'll feel pretty good. But if, on Volcus, they can actually play like a real game into you, and you got to look out for sure.
Yeah. They're the closest to a compendium team in like ethos. No comms, just like 2 APL move and shoot. That's it.
Yeah. Group 8. This is your group, Shane.
Yeah. It's a tough one too. I did not get an easy draw here. I've heard some people call this the group of death. I think group 6 is maybe also the that one's just
Your
as, if
group
not
is
more scary. But
there's a lot of names I recognize in this group, and
this could be a
it's
group of
tough.
death too. This could be a group of death for sure.
Somebody put something on my Discord that I thought was interesting, and obviously ITC ranking is not everything. Everybody knows that. But somebody was listing the ITC rankings of like how many top 25, top 50, top 100 ITC players are in each group. And groups 1 through 7, all of them have no more than 1 or 2. And in group 8, there are 7 people in the top 25 of ITC in group 8, which is just kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of seasoned tournament players in this group.
I recognize like half of the names right off the bat. We have to point out Voyen, our boy Voyen. He's your spirit brother now with Rekka crew.
Yeah, we have another Rekka in here too. There's a Guglielmo
Guglielmo Bolia. Yeah,
Guglielmo.
The GL is a
it's Guglielmo. Is that right?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, you got it.
I'll get that. Got it. Yeah. So 3 Rekkas. We've got 3 Canoptic, 4 Deathwatch. So 10 out of the 16 are elite or, semi-elite in terms of Rekkas. We've got a Thelgor in there with Dylan Gill, who I played in the finals of Adepticon. I was playing Thelgor against him at Adepticon when he was on his Salvagers.
You convinced him.
Maybe. I don't know. Jason Steinke, a really good player. I played him at Nova. He is on Ratlings, which blew my mind.
I played Jason last year. He was on Warp Coven.
Yes, and he was on Canoptic recently. I'm very surprised to see him on Ratlings. So a little scared of that. And he's a great player, really cool guy.
Yeah.
Guy Barton, Dan Barton's father, played him last year in the the top 16 at Worlds in a Hyrotech mirror match. So he's on Inquisition. He's the only Inquisition player. And I'm excited to see if I get to play Guy again. Brandon Bean, obviously, probably the top player in the Pacific Northwest on his Blooded. And then I have both the Kellys.
I'm happy to see Blooded. Actually, that was one of the teams. Like it's like their song, their last dance. You know, so it's nice to see at least a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know? We made Ratman was on Blooded. That's his team. We made a Rat Blooded team for him. And I was hoping he'd be there this year, but we're going to have to ship it to Argentina for him. But another really interesting thing here is that the 2 Kellys are on opposite nationalities in this group. So they could play each other.
Yeah, they could play each other.
You're about to go into to the Kellys there. Yeah.
Yeah, I got both the Kelly kids. And I'm excited because I've never played either of the Kelly kids. I've wanted to play Josh for a long time. I've wanted to play Zeke, and I just haven't had the chance. So, excited for that. And, I see at the bottom, we've got a player from China playing Canoptic. And I actually had looked this up because I'm like, is this just somebody repping China, or is this actually somebody from China? And I looked up the event, and it appears that him and the other 2 players that are repping China, there was an actual, I believe, like Warhammer 3 golden ticket event in China. And I think they're really coming over from China, which is insane and awesome. How cool is that?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah.
That's so cool.
We like to see people repping their nationalities, but for like to see the game kind of spread legitimately globally is a really cool vibe as well.
Yeah. So this group scares me, of course. I don't expect, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to try my best. I don't think anybody can say they expect to get out of groups. It's just when you compare it to the field, it's just so competitive in every group. I hope I can at least win 4 games. That would be nice. I don't expect. I mean, I could have every game here against like a really. Oh man, I don't even know what to expect. It's going to be a lot of fun though.
It's going to be so fun. Yeah, and we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on like my expectation in my group is like to try to play Exaction to the best that they can be played. Like that's my only goal. So however it shakes out, I know I'm just going to have a good time. It's like one of those goals where you're like, I'm just going to try to squeeze the most juice out of this team that I can. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You already won Best in Factions. That's something we said. You already got an award, right? So for everyone bringing the one faction, right? But Shane, it's been amazing to do this together. We've been talking about it for a long time, and we can't wait to take so much footage and do some really cool shots at Worlds.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you guys for having me on. Anytime, reach out, I'll hop on.
We'll have to do a post Worlds breakdown as well.
Yeah,
100%.
Same back at you. Anything anytime. We'll
Awesome.
be there.
Yeah. Thanks, Shane.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it. All right. Thank you to everyone watching at home. We love everybody, and stay tuned for all the worlds.
See you next time.